I wanted to refresh a little bit the video that I've done a few times because there's still some questions about, believe it or not, the parking tags or the parking license plates. So let's go through this again. And I have some articles here that I follow because it's a lot. It's a lot because there's a piece for the drivers who are not disabled, and then for those who are disabled. So they both have different regulations. So here we go. If I'm going to talk first to the people who are not disabled, okay? First of all, you may not purchase a fake parking tag online. It's prohibited. It's against the law. Okay, so don't go there. So you could get a big fine for that. And I don't want that to happen to you. So if you're not disabled, you're not disabled. Then you make an effort to find a parking spot where you can legally park. All right. Abusing disabled parking permits is no laughing matter because you will get a huge fine and a ticket and everything else. So, and then you'll have to go to court to say not sure what, but you probably end up paying the fine anyway. So, if you are not authorized, that's really important. If you're not authorized, then you may not park in the disabled parking spots. You are breaking the law when you do that. All right? Period. I don't care what the reason is. You're breaking the law when you park there and you do not have permission. So even if you say, well, no one was using it or I'm just running in for a second, you just broke the law. Bottom line. You just parked where you did not have any legal authorization. This is a legal issue. So I want to be very clear with that. No, you may not park there if you're just running in for a second. You just broke the law. And no, you may not park there if nobody was using it. You just broke the law if you did so. So I can't be any clearer than that. All right. You may not use a parking tag. You may not lend the disabled parking permit. You cannot borrow one. So, because you're not disabled, okay? You're not disabled, you're not disabled. Then you have to deal with just parking the closest you can and avoiding the handicap spots. You can't borrow a handicap parking permit or put a fake one in your car because that puts you at risk of a big fine and a visit to the courts. You cannot put a fake license plate on your car either because they'll figure it out. All right, so now there are rules and regulations. Now I'm going to speak to the other crowd, which is us, those who are disabled, and have a parking tag or a license plate. So authorized users are not allowed to lend the disabled parking permit to anyone, including family. You are allowed to use the placard even if you do not drive. So people have asked me, well, if I don't drive, can I have one? Yes, you may, because then you can use it when someone is driving you somewhere. Caution to present the placard and ID when requested by a law enforcement. So a law enforcement officer. So if a law enforcement officer comes up to you and you're the owner of a parking tag and they ask you about it, yeah, you can present it, but you also have to present your ID, whether it's a driver's license or your state ID. The next of kin is caution not to use the disabled parking permit and to turn it into the DMV with the 6 months of the death of the authorized user. So if you pass away, your family member has a responsibility to turn that in, period. They can't just keep it and say, oh, cool. Not allowed to alter, falsify, or counterfeit a plate or placard or face up to 3 years in prison. Those who intentionally falsify a placard to profit can receive an additional civil fine of, well, this is a state of California, so the fine might be lower or higher depending on the state. But in California, it's pretty stiff. It's $4,200. So. All right. The holder, the disabled person, is not allowed to possess more than one permanent placard. So, and the state of Wisconsin is a little different. They give you 2 right away. So, the holder is not allowed to park in the cross-hatched area adjacent to the handicap parking spaces, as these areas are used to facilitate wheelchair access. So what they mean is, in a lot of these spaces, there's the disabled parking spot, and then next to it, you'll see some lines, some diagonal lines. You cannot park in those diagonal lines because that's where people with wheelchairs or walkers need to unload, so they have to get out in a safe place. So that's why those lines are there. So you can't park there. Just because you couldn't find a disabled parking spot doesn't mean you can park in those lines. Those lines are for wheelchair users or people with walkers. You will get a fine, or you could be towed. Allowed to park in metered stalls free of charge. So in most states, that is true. So I'm talking about the whole entire United States. So you need a traffic ticket lawyer to fight the ticket. It's advisable. Some people just go to court, without a lawyer. And sometimes I say, yes, Your Honor, I did do that. So I'll be happy to pay the ticket. I'm very sorry, So, so I want you to be able to understand either the disabled person or the non-disabled person do not have authorization ever to park where those lines are, because those are for wheelchair users or people who are coming out with walkers. They need to be safe, and they need room to do that. So there's 2 reasons for that. So, so that's really important. For those holders, and there's a comment here that's really important that kind of covers a generality here. You are the only one legally allowed to use the placard. This is for the disabled placard holders, whether you're a driver or a passenger in the vehicle. It's illegal for anyone else to use the placard, okay, if you are not in the vehicle. So I want to make that very clear. Misusing the placard can result in cancellation of the permit, fines, and other penalties. So as placard holders, we need to be responsible. You need to keep the placard near you. Once you're done and that person's not going to drive you anywhere else, please pick up the placard. Keep it with you in your purse or wherever, because it could be a temptation. It really could be a temptation. So just a reminder, in most states this applies. In your state, it might not apply. But in our state, in the state of Wisconsin, in most states, the red placards, the red disabled placards are temporary placards, okay, for 6 months. Those have a duration about 6 months. So those are people who are recovering from something. 2, the green placards, disabled placards, those are for organizations who have a van and drive people around, so it's green. Okay, in the state of Wisconsin, it's green. It could be a different color in another state, but those last, I think, 2 years or something. But it's green for organizations. And the blue one, which we're more familiar with, that's permanent, and that's for the person who is disabled. The person who is disabled, they could drive or not drive. It doesn't matter. They are entitled to have a parking placard. What else? My suggestions for the placard holders is to put it in a plastic cover. Let me get mine to show you. Forgot to pull it out. So this is the, it's a cover, and this keeps it, clean and safe from crazy weather. So so I just given them on Amazon. They're pretty cheap. So, but put it in a plastic cover, make sure it's protected. 25, yeah. So, and just put it in your purse or your pouch or whatever you carry around. These placards need to be, if you're applying for one, you just can't go to the DMV. You have to go to your doctor first and discuss it, okay? Your doctor might want you walking more rather than less. But some people have invisible disabilities like lung problems, they have COPD, they have cardiac problems that they can't walk long distances. So those are the people who are who qualify for placards. Some people are blind and are driven around, so they can have a placard to give it to the driver. So each state has its own forms and criteria for handicap parking permits. Typically, the state's Department of Motor Vehicles runs the program, which is true. Check on your state's specific process. The DMV will need your doctor to verify your medical condition. Other healthcare professionals, such as an optometrist, physician assistants, or a nurse practitioner, may also be able to document your condition. If you're visibly disabled and appear at a DMV office, the requirement of a physician certification might be waived in some states, not all states. In my state, I still need to go to my doctor and say, hey, I think I would benefit from a disabled placard. Can I ask for one? And the doctor will say yes or no. So, and they'll fill out the form and send it in. Check with your own state to find out the specific criteria regarding who qualifies for disabled parking. Common conditions include, listen up, lung disease, heart disease, substantially impaired mobility, for example, use of a wheelchair, brace, or cane, a disease that significantly limits your ability to walk or to use your legs, documented vision problems including low vision or partial sightedness, loss of one or both legs or loss of both hands, or limited use of these parts. So usually, to apply for a handicap parking permit, you have to download the form. You have to print out the form. Go to your state and print out the form, or pick one up from the DMV. Get a handicap parking application from the DMV office or online. Complete and sign the form. Ask your healthcare provider to fill out and sign their portion that certifies disability. Again, in some states, certification requirements might be waived if you are visibly disabled. Appear in person at the DMV. Submit the application by mail or in person. Sometimes you can do it online. Although many people apply for permanent disabled parking, States also offer placards for temporary disabilities, such as having surgery. Typically, these temporary placards are valid for up to 6 months, as I said before. So you are the only legally allowed to use the placard, whether you're a driver or a passenger in the vehicle. It is illegal for anyone else to use your placard if you are not in the vehicle. Okay, so I want to underline that a million times. Misusing the placard can result in cancellation, fines, and other penalties. So we need to be responsible with our placards. And, the use of these placards might change at some point because there's a lot of deception. There's a lot of fake placards out there, placard users, and it's driving officials crazy. So they might come up with something different. For right now, we have to go through the DMV. So I really want to underline this. Park responsibly. Do not use a disabled parking spot if you are not disabled, period. Do not, because you're breaking the law. So this is a legal issue, and you need to pay attention. At Walgreens the other day, I had to go to Walgreens. I was dropped off, and I did my purchasing, whatever I needed to do. And then I had to come out and sit there and wait for my transportation. And I could swear I saw several people just park in the handicap spot and just run in. I was like, oh my God. And I just wanted to sit there and wave a flag. You just broke the law, but sometimes it's not worth doing that. So I know this guy on YouTube who videos people parking illegally, in a variety of ways, and that's crazy. I would say that parking illegally is already risky, and then filming them could be even riskier. So if you see somebody that is parking in your spot in an apartment, they're not disabled, and they just couldn't, don't confront them yourself or by yourself. I would call the police and non-emergency number and just say, hey, I'm having trouble at my apartment. Somebody's parking in my disabled parking spot, and have the police help you with that. Some people can get very rude and very disrespectful and very dangerous in their behavior. So I recommend, even if you see someone in a parking lot who forgot to put up their tag or just doesn't have a tag at all, don't try to resolve it. Just go into that store or that agency and just say, hey, somebody didn't put up their disabled parking permit, and so just be aware that somebody's parked in the disabled parking spot without a permit or a license plate. So that's really important. I don't want anybody to encourage in any kind of danger. People have been shot at and punched in the face for less. So for a lot less. So let's play it safe. Let's play it safe, folks, and just consult with the manager of that store or that business so that they can take care of it. They can call the police or call their towing company, whatever it is that they need to do, because it's just really important for all of us to be, responsible for myself, to be responsible for myself. And if somebody else is doing something wrong, just go to the manager and say, hey, this is going on in your parking lot. I don't know if you know that, but I'm just letting you know. And just stay out of that danger because it's not worth it. So that's how you apply. This is who cannot use the parking tags. This is where you shouldn't park. Don't park there if you don't have a parking tag, and don't park there in the lines, because that's for wheelchair users and people who use walkers. I don't know what else to say that will help you understand the importance of following the law in your state, in your country. You know, next year I'm going to Canada to visit a family member, and I'm bringing my parking permit, and it's approved. I can use it in Canada, which is cool. So, you know, I got to make sure it's up to date and all that kind of stuff, but I'll keep it on my person. And, you know, my little brother will be driving around and stuff, but we can use it. So I had to look it up, make sure that I follow the rules and the laws in Montreal. And by the way, all of you will come with me, and I'll do some filming and stuff that we're doing there. It'll be fun. So you can use it in other countries, but you got to check the rules and regulations of that country, their laws, so that you're not stepping over the line and get into trouble. So let's stay safe. Let's follow the law, follow the rules, and let's be happy together. See you all soon. If you have any questions about parking tags, parking permits, please post them down below. We can work it out together here. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.